There are things every 90s kid quietly believes, but would never say out loud. Not because they're embarrassing exactly, but because admitting them would mean admitting something bigger about who they've become. And by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the one they hide the deepest, the one that explains all the others. Keep that in the back of your mind. Most videos about 90s kids just list the nostalgia, the snacks, the shows, the dial-up. That's the easy stuff. We're not doing that. We're going underneath it, into the things 90s kids actually feel and never say. Welcome back. Let's get into it. The first one they'll never admit. A quiet part of them believes they grew up at the best possible time in history, and that everyone after them got a worse version of childhood. They'll never say it out loud because it sounds arrogant, but they feel it. They watched a kid hand a toddler a tablet and felt something twist in their chest. To them, the analog childhood wasn't just their normal. It was the correct one, and some part of them grieves that the kids coming up will never get it. Here's why that belief is so stubborn, and it's not just sentimentality. It's because of when those memories were formed. Your brain saves the experiences from roughly ages 10 to 30 in higher resolution than any other time in your life. That's the window where your identity gets built. So a 90s kid isn't just remembering their childhood fondly. Their brain literally encoded it as the most vivid, most real period they'll ever have. The 90s feel like the best era because, neurologically, they're the clearest era. But that's only the surface reason. The deeper one comes later. Which leads to the second thing they won't admit. They're a little addicted to feeling nostalgic, and they know it isn't entirely healthy. The nostalgia accounts, the rewatches, the anyone else remember this posts, there's comfort there, but there's also a quiet hiding. Because here's what's really going on underneath. Nostalgia isn't actually about the past. Psychologists have found it tends to spike when people feel uncertain or unsettled in the present. It's a self-soothing mechanism. So every time a 90s kid disappears into a warm memory of 1998, there's often a present-day stress they're stepping away from. They won't admit that the nostalgia isn't really love for the past. It's sometimes an escape from now. And that sets up the third one, which is heavier. The third thing they'll never admit. A lot of them feel like they're running behind on a schedule nobody actually gave them. They were promised a sequence: school, career, house, stability, all arriving on time. They watch their parents seem to get it, and quietly, many 90s kids feel like they missed a turn somewhere, like everyone else got the manual and they didn't. They won't say this out loud because it feels like a personal failure. But it isn't personal at all. It's an entire generation handed a map to a world that got rebuilt while they were walking through it. The shame is private, the cause is collective. And almost none of them realize how many others feel the exact same way. So far, these seem like separate things: the superiority, the nostalgia, the feeling behind. But they're not separate. They all come from the same root, and this is the one 90s kids hide the deepest. Here it is. The thing underneath all of it is this. 90s kids feel like they're the last witnesses to a world that no longer exists, and they're terrified that when they forget it, it'll be gone for good. That's the real weight. Every nostalgic post, every kids these days, every ache for a slower time. It's not really about being right, or being old, or being behind. It's about being a keeper of something. They're carrying the memory of the last fully analog childhood, and somewhere deep down, they feel responsible for it. Like a librarian of a building that's already been demolished. That's why they can't just move on. Moving on feels like letting the world forget. And once you see that, all the things they won't admit suddenly make sense. The superiority is protectiveness. The nostalgia is preservation. The feeling behind is grief for a future that got swapped out. It was never about the past being better. It was about being the only ones left who remember it clearly. So if you're a 90s kid, which of these did you feel called out by? The superiority, the nostalgia loop, the feeling behind, or the deep one, being a keeper of a world that's gone? Be honest in the comments. I read them. And if this put words to something you felt but never said, subscribe, because that's exactly what we do here. We name the things you've always felt but never quite caught. See you in the next one.